When the Galactic Council issued its final decree barring humanity from access to all regulated weapons, the decision was delivered in a calm chamber of floating stone and cold light, where dozens of alien delegates watched the human envoy with mild boredom, and the words were recorded as a minor administrative action meant to keep a young and noisy species in its place, because to the Council humans were clever but reckless, emotional but weak, and above all dependent on borrowed technology that could be switched off whenever the Council wished. So when the decree passed without debate, the human representative Daniel Carter did not shout or threaten. He only nodded once, thanked the chamber for its time, and walked out while several delegates laughed softly among themselves, believing they had just prevented a future problem. And back on Earth, the announcement hit governments and militaries like a sudden vacuum where sound could not travel, because human fleets relied on licensed drives, licensed shielding algorithms, licensed kinetic cannons that had been carefully limited in yield. And within days, alien inspectors arrived to lock down orbital arsenals and deactivate systems with remote codes, leaving human admirals staring at dark screens and silent docks. Yet instead of panic, there was a strange, quiet resolve that spread through command centers and research facilities, because humanity had lived under limits before, and had learned long ago that rules written by others were never written for human survival. And in a secure underground complex in Nevada, General Laura Bennett gathered a small group of officers, engineers, and civilian scientists whose names would never appear in Council records, and she spoke plainly that the galaxy had decided humans were too dangerous to trust with weapons, which meant the galaxy had decided humans were already dangerous, so they would stop asking permission, and that Night Seal projects long dismissed as impractical or unethical were reopened under new designations, not to recreate Council weapons, but to rethink the idea of weapons entirely. And across Earth and its colonies, teams led by people like Isaac Monroe, a propulsion expert who had once been laughed out at Council Symposium, and Helen Ortiz, a materials engineer who understood stress the way musicians understood sound, began working not on cannons or missiles, but on systems that changed the rules of engagement, because if the Council defined weapons as tools of direct destruction, then humanity would build tools that altered environments, physics, and decision-making itself. And while alien fleets continued their patrols confident that Earth had been disarmed, human shipyards quietly shifted to modular hulls with empty hardpoints and oversized power cores that inspectors could not classify as weapons, and in orbit around Mars, a research station officially studying solar harmonics tested containment fields that bent radiation in ways no Council model predicted, and months passed with no incident, reinforcing alien belief that the sanction had worked, until a small human convoy near the Karsus trade route was intercepted by a Council enforcement cruiser whose captain spoke politely but firmly about compliance. And when the human ships powered down without resistance, the cruiser moved closer to conduct boarding, unaware that the human vessels were running an unlicensed system that did not fire a shot but synchronized their reactors in a precise rhythm that resonated through subspace, causing the cruiser's own licensed systems to misinterpret reality for 3 critical seconds, during which its shields folded inward and its engines shut down as a safety response, leaving it drifting and confused while the human convoy departed unharmed. And the incident was logged as a sensor malfunction. But on Earth, General Bennett watched the report and allowed herself a thin smile, because the system had worked exactly once, which was all it needed to do. And as the Council continued to underestimate human intent, humanity continued to build something worse than weapons, something that did not violate any written law yet made those laws meaningless. And by the time the galaxy noticed, the definition of power had already changed. Months after the Karsus incident, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session to review Earth's compliance, convening on a vast rotating station orbiting the binary stars of Zyrith, where delegates argued heatedly over what had caused a sudden disruption of one of their enforcement cruisers, and each alien species blamed the others for lax enforcement, completely missing the possibility that humans had engineered the anomaly, while back on Earth the project known only as Obsidian. Protocol moved forward at a pace that defied expectation, with engineers like Malik Jensen and Clara Huang overseeing energy matrix stabilization that allowed human ships to manipulate gravitational fields in localized volumes, effectively making vessels invisible or untouchable for periods long enough to escape patrols or strike without warning. And these technologies were combined with AI decision systems that were adaptive and unpredictable, unlike the rigid logic that Council engineers relied upon. So simulations run in secrecy showed that even a single human ship could disable entire squadrons without firing conventional weapons. And in the capital cities of Earth, civilian leadership began coordinating supply chains, intelligence networks, and research output to ensure that every scientist, pilot, and technician involved in the project operated as a seamless part of a global effort, which no alien bureaucracy could comprehend, because humanity did not just plan in weeks or months. They planned decades ahead, thinking of contingencies the Council would never anticipate, and in orbit around Earth and Mars, thousands of drones labored in quiet precision, assembling modules that on inspection appeared to be benign communication relays, climate regulators, or experimental reactors. But in reality, each module was part of a distributed system designed to bend electromagnetic, gravitational, and quantum fields into configurations that could disable enemy sensors, scramble targeting arrays, and collapse formation cohesion. And the first coordinated tests were conducted under cover of normal solar activity, yielding results that startled even the engineers who designed them, because the system responded to alien attempts at interference in real time, learning patterns of aggression, formation flight, and weapon deployment faster than any human operator could process manually. And as weeks turned into months, Council analysts reported a strange increase in unexplained failures across the human sector, with cruisers dropping out of formation, drones malfunctioning in perfect swarms, and communications becoming unreliable without any apparent cause. Yet to humans it was only practice, a rehearsal for the eventual revelation of their true capabilities, while across the Council chambers arguments continued, with some delegates calling for immediate inspection, others demanding a warning, and a few, like Ambassador VRYNN of the Trilax Cluster, beginning to sense that Earth's compliance might not be what it seemed, though even VRYNN could not predict the speed and scale of the systems being built. And as human fleets quietly repositioned, power cores humming and fields shimmering invisibly around vessels, the first signs of strategic dominance began to emerge, not through force of arms, but through mastery of physics, logistics, and the Council's own assumptions about the limits of their technology. And by the time the first overt actions were taken, the galaxy would already be looking at Earth differently, realizing too late that humanity had never relied on Council permission, that their weapons were never what the Council imagined, and that the humans had quietly rewritten the rules of engagement on their own terms, making conventional fleets obsolete and turning entire regions of space into zones of human-defined control before anyone could react. A realization that would shatter confidence and change the balance of power forever. As the first human-engineered anomalies began to appear in contested space, the Galactic Council scrambled to identify the source, sending fleets to investigate sectors long assumed secure. Yet every cruiser and reconnaissance vessel that entered human-controlled zones experienced subtle but catastrophic system malfunctions, from sensor distortions that made stars appear shifted, to propulsion anomalies that forced ships to drift off course for hours, while humans monitored these events from hidden command nodes across Earth, the Moon, and orbital stations around Jupiter, analyzing alien responses in real time and adjusting their systems accordingly, creating a feedback loop that amplified confusion without a single human crew ever leaving safety. And the Obsidian Protocol had matured to the point where ships were effectively ghosts, capable of moving through space while remaining undetectable to most advanced alien scanners. And when a Council warship attempted to shadow a convoy near the Filer Rift, the humans orchestrated a phenomenon that made the warship see multiple false fleets, each moving with perfect coordination, forcing the alien captain to commit tactical errors that led to collisions, near misses, and forced retreats, all recorded by the humans with cold precision for future analysis. While on Earth, General Laura Bennett oversaw the integration of human pilots, AI, and quantum field manipulators, ensuring that every deployment was a calculated demonstration of superiority without risking lives unnecessarily. And in the Council chambers, delegates grew increasingly paranoid as anomalies multiplied, debates spiraling into accusations, with some species insisting that humans had hacked the very framework of space-time, others arguing that the anomalies were natural phenomena misinterpreted. Yet none could comprehend the depth of human ingenuity, and as humans continued to refine their systems, they introduced the first true offensive, capability not classified as a weapon, The Singularity Pulse, a coordinated mission from multiple orbital platforms that could disrupt enemy fleet subspace communications, disable drive systems temporarily, and create the illusion of gravitational distortions, all without violating the Council's ban on weapons. And when the first test pulse was sent across a control sector, several alien ships reported that their instruments no longer correlated with reality, while human monitors observed, with satisfaction that the Council fleet's cohesion collapsed in seconds, forcing retreat without a single shot fired. And as weeks passed, the Council slowly began to realize that humanity had turned compliance into deception, creating systems so advanced and subtle that they could achieve strategic dominance while appearing to obey every regulation. And even the most cautious delegates could not predict the next move because humans had learned to think in layers of contingency, probability, and misdirection that no alien species had ever encountered. And in the hidden corridors of human research stations, engineers and tacticians celebrated quietly, knowing that the galaxy would soon learn the true cost of underestimating humanity, not through brute force, but through intellect, precision, and the patient orchestration of chaos. As the Singularity Pulse continued to sow confusion among alien fleets, humanity escalated its initiatives, quietly deploying orbital platforms and autonomous vessels equipped with adaptive cloaking fields and quantum computational cores capable of anticipating enemy maneuvers before they occurred. And while the Galactic Council debated whether these anomalies were natural phenomena, coordinated human teams under Admiral Jason Whittaker and Dr. Amina Salim ran simulations that integrated predictive algorithms with real-time field data, allowing humans to position forces bait fleets and manipulate engagements without ever firing a conventional weapon. And along the border systems of the Sarlon Expanse, human convoys began moving through what the Council considered heavily patrolled sectors, only to vanish from sensor readings and reappear beyond inspection points as if teleporting across light years, causing panic and a cascade of conflicting reports among alien commanders. While back on Earth, General Laura Bennett oversaw the next stage of the Obsidian Protocol, introducing what humans termed a cognitive overlay, a network system that subtly manipulated enemy AI, decision-making protocols, and command hierarchies, creating hesitation, miscommunication, and strategic errors in fleets that prided themselves on rigid discipline. And as Council analysts struggled to interpret what they believed were systematic failures, human diplomats like Marcus Everett leveraged the confusion to negotiate favorable treaties, securing access to resources, trade routes, and contested sectors while the Council remained blind to the true scale of humanity's strategic control. And in secret orbital laboratories, scientists perfected subspace resonance fields that could bend gravitational and electromagnetic signals to create phantom fleets, simulated planetary defenses, and temporary space-time distortions, all without violating the Council's ban on weapons, effectively redefining the very concept of engagement, while the human psychological campaigns subtly undermined alien confidence, making even veteran captains second-guess their instincts. And as months turned into a full galactic cycle, the Council began to recognize a terrifying pattern. Humanity had not only complied with the letter of the law, they had rewritten the rules of strategy, command, and perception in their favor, creating an invisible yet absolute dominance. And when the first public demonstration of human capability was orchestrated near the contested Perseus Gate, entire squadrons of alien ships found themselves immobilized, systems failing in perfect coordination, communication lines severed, and formations collapsing without any human projectile deployed, leaving delegates stunned, crews panicked, and the Council forced to confront an undeniable truth. Humanity's power did not lie in conventional weapons. It lay in intellect, innovation, and the relentless ability to turn restriction into overwhelming advantage. And across Earth and its colonies, teams responsible for the Obsidian Protocol quietly celebrated, knowing that when the galaxy finally understood what humans had built, it would be too late to resist, and the perception of human weakness that had pervaded for centuries would be forever shattered. As the months unfolded, humanity's dominance grew not through open conflict, but through meticulous, invisible orchestration, with fleets moving silently across contested sectors while subspace fields bent communications, sensors, and even perception of time for alien observers. And every test, every minor engagement, reinforced the humans' mastery of what the Galactic Council could not yet define. While in secret command centers, General Laura Bennett, Admiral Jason Whittaker, Dr. Amina Salim, and strategist Marcus Ever coordinated an intricate network of orbital platforms, autonomous vessels, and AI-directed operations that allowed humans to simulate multiple campaigns simultaneously, each one teaching the system new responses, new tactics, and new ways to manipulate enemy assumptions. And as the Council continued to debate and issue directives, humans quietly tested the singularity pulse in increasingly complex scenarios, synchronizing orbital power cores to produce cascading effects that cause entire alien task forces to misinterpret spatial coordinates, misalign weapons, and miscalculate maneuvers without a single shot fired, while fleet convoys trained in this environment became experts at anticipating enemy reactions based on patterns that humans themselves created through subtle manipulations, and the Obsidian Protocol expanded into planetary scale systems, enabling humans to manipulate environmental variables, gravitational fields, and energy distribution networks in ways that could delay or prevent invasions before they began. And when an alien fleet attempted a coordinated strike near the rim of the Dravik sector, they were met with a phenomenon that appeared to be a sudden gravitational storm, but in reality was a precise overlay of human-engineered distortions that immobilized the fleet, disrupted propulsion systems, and scrambled communications, leaving commanders helpless to respond, while the humans observed, recorded, and adjusted in real time, ensuring that the system became increasingly efficient with each deployment. And within the Council, reported repeated failures, vanishing fleets, and inexplicable losses began to spread panic, forcing emergency summits and frantic orders for inspection, which were routinely thwarted by humans through preemptive positioning, adaptive cloaking, and the seamless integration of AI guidance and human oversight. And across the galaxy, whispers began to circulate among alien officers and captains that humans had transcended conventional understanding of warfare, turning strategy itself into a weapon. While back on Earth, teams continued refining energy harmonics, field resonances, and quantum manipulations, ensuring that every new capability added not only to human defensive strength, but to offensive versatility that did not violate the Council's ban on weapons. And as the year ended, the galaxy faced a new reality. Humanity had constructed a force that could dominate without firing a shot, control without consent, and strike without warning, rewriting the rules of engagement while remaining within the boundaries set by those who had foolishly underestimated them. And the Council's complacency had become humanity's greatest ally, for in every moment of assumed obedience, humans had been building the ultimate proof that being barred from weapons had not limited them. It had made them unstoppable. By the time humanity's influence had spread across multiple contested sectors, the Galactic Council began to realize that the anomalies were not isolated incidents, but part of a deliberate, coherent strategy executed with precision that no single species could match. And despite repeated attempts to analyze and counteract human maneuvers, alien fleets found themselves repeatedly misdirected, disabled, or rendered ineffective by subtle manipulations of space-time, electromagnetic fields, and subspace distortions engineered by humans under the Obsidian Protocol. While back on Earth, General Laura Bennett, Admiral Jason Whitaker, Dr. Amina Salim, and strategist Marcus Ever coordinated the next phase, the integration of cognitive warfare, deploying AI-driven predictive models that anticipated enemy decision-making and subtly influenced behavior through simulated sensor feedback, environmental illusions, and controlled anomalies, and every engagement served as both practice and demonstration, allowing human forces to refine techniques, test responses, and expand the system's adaptability. So that when a Council fleet attempted a blockade near the outer rim of the Filar Expanse, human vessels did not attack directly, but created a network of overlapping gravitational and electromagnetic distortions, giving the appearance of multiple false fleets, phantom planetary defenses, and spatial anomalies that forced alien commanders to retreat, believing they were outnumbered and outmaneuvered, while humans recorded every response for further optimization. And across Earth, teams worked tirelessly to enhance power matrix synchronization, quantum resonance fields, and subspace harmonics, ensuring that even if an alien species adapted partially, the human systems would adjust dynamically, effectively keeping the upper hand at all times. And as Council delegates convened in emergency sessions to assess the escalating failures, some began to suspect deliberate deception, but no analysis could penetrate the complexity of human coordination, which combined real-time computation, adaptive AI, and human intuition in ways alien species had never conceived. And when news of the Filer Expanse incident spread, fear began to ripple through fleets and colonies, undermining confidence, morale, and trust in established command structures. And humans continued their quiet expansion, constructing orbital platforms, autonomous drones, and cloaked vessels that could operate independently while remaining synchronized with global command, all while outwardly maintaining compliance with Council regulations. And as months passed, the galaxy began to grasp an uncomfortable truth. Humanity had not only circumvented restrictions on weapons, but had created a framework for dominance that relied on intellect, innovation, coordination, and adaptability, proving that true power did not require conventional arms. And the Council faced the dawning realization that the species they had sought to constrain had already rewritten the rules of engagement, leaving entire sectors under human influence without a single direct strike. And in the hidden halls of Earth's command centers, the architects of the Obsidian Protocol quietly celebrated, knowing that the galaxy would soon understand the cost of underestimating humans, yet it would be far too late to reverse the outcome. As humanity's mastery of subspace manipulation, cognitive overlay, and orbital resonance expanded, entire alien fleets began reporting phenomena that defied explanation, with ships losing synchronization, navigational instruments feeding false readings, and communications collapsing under conditions that human analysts had engineered for maximum effect without ever touching a conventional weapon. And in secret command hubs across Earth, General Laura Bennett, Admiral Jason Whitaker, Dr. Amina, Salim, strategist Marcus Everett, and teams of engineers and scientists coordinated the simultaneous deployment of multiple advanced systems, each layer designed to exploit alien assumptions, reinforce others' failures, and adapt instantaneously to unforeseen responses, while fleets under human oversight executed maneuvers that seemed impossible to onlookers, moving in ways that appeared to violate physical laws yet remained entirely within human control. And across contested regions, Council fleets encountered successive waves of such disruptions, forcing them into defensive formations, repeated retreats, and complete operational paralysis. And when ambassadors of the Council attempted direct negotiations to address these malfunctions, humans presented compliant documentation, evidence of obedience, and assurances of non-aggression, all while hidden systems continued to expand human control, subtly shaping environmental, gravitational, and subspace conditions to manipulate enemy perception and decision-making. And in orbital laboratories, engineers refined quantum field matrices capable of temporarily masking entire planets from sensor detection, creating zones of strategic unpredictability, while autonomous vessels, equipped with adaptive cloaking and AI-driven navigation, patrol these areas, ready to exploit any incursion. And as weeks turned into months, reports reached Council chambers describing fleets stranded, patrols scattered, and entire colonies effectively isolated without a single shot fired, causing panic, infighting, and accusations among alien species, while humans monitored all events from secure stations, adjusting variables, recording outcomes, and refining predictive algorithms to anticipate not just fleet movements, but Council deliberations and diplomatic initiatives. And when a coordinated human pulse was deployed near the binary system of Karsus 4, multiple alien warships simultaneously experienced drive failures, communications collapse, and sensor distortion so severe that crews abandoned positions thinking they were under attack from forces that did not exist, while human observers logged the event as a controlled success. And as Council delegates met to reassess the situation, even the most experienced leaders could not comprehend the scale or sophistication of the systems humanity had built, realizing only gradually that humans had taken restrictions as a challenge, not a limitation, turning compliance into an advantage, control into strategy, and intellect into the deadliest weapon of all. And in Earth's hidden command centers, the architects of the Obsidian Protocol prepared for the next phase, knowing that the galaxy would soon face the undeniable truth. Humanity's power had never relied on traditional weapons, and the species that had been barred, underestimated, and dismissed had quietly become unstoppable. When the final phase of humanity's Obsidian Protocol was initiated, the galaxy's perception of power shifted irrevocably as fleets and colonies across multiple sectors simultaneously experienced phenomena that could not be explained by conventional science. Navigational grids warped unpredictably, subspace communications twisted into incoherence, energy matrices overloaded without cause, and gravitational anomalies rendered entire formations immobile. And yet, despite this apparent chaos, Humans maintained complete control, directing operations from Earth, orbital command stations, and hidden lunar bases, where General Laura Bennett, Admiral Jason Whitaker, Dr. Amina Salim, strategist Marcus Everett, and teams of engineers and scientists orchestrated each variable with precision, integrating adaptive AI, predictive modeling, and quantum resonance networks so that every alien maneuver was anticipated and neutralized before it could manifest. And as the Galactic Council convened, in emergency sessions to address the unprecedented failures, delegates struggled to communicate, issue orders, or coordinate fleets, their systems continuously compromised by subtle manipulations humans had embedded over months of preparation, while humans presented outward compliance, offering reports, documentation, and diplomatic assurances that satisfied all formal requirements, but concealed the full scale of their capabilities. And in strategic corridors of contested space, fleets once thought powerful found themselves immobilized, misaligned, and misinformed, while human convoys moved freely, exploiting openings that had been created deliberately over time, and orbital platforms synchronized global effects, gravitational distortions, electromagnetic interference, sensor manipulations, and subspace anomalies all combined to render alien fleets ineffective without a single conventional weapon being deployed. And on Earth, teams continued to refine these systems, ensuring adaptability, redundancy, and scalability, allowing humans to extend control not only over battlefields but entire regions, dictating the terms of engagement invisibly and irreversibly. And as months passed, the Council came to the grim realization that their previous assumptions about human weakness, compliance, and technological dependence had been catastrophically flawed, that humanity had taken restriction as a challenge and turned it into an overwhelming advantage, and that the species they had sought to constrain, dismiss, and monitor had quietly rewritten the rules of warfare, strategy, and power in their favor, creating a framework in which intellect, ingenuity, and coordination replaced weapons as the ultimate force. And across the galaxy, fleets, colonies, and leaders came to understand, too late, that humanity's rise had been unstoppable, inevitable, and absolute, leaving the Council with no choice but to accept that the species they had underestimated would now define the future of interstellar power, proving once and for all that being barred from weapons had not weakened humanity. It had made them invincible.